get into some of this album art.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Album artwork, shift work, 1991.
We got a
For fall, for
beautiful.
well, I wanted to say for our fall Patreons, this is not a new artist for us because if you're on Patreon, we did a little side journey into the Cold Cut Mark E. Smith collaboration, and we got a little music video by this artist, which was fucking awesome. But we got artwork by Pascal Degrasse, uh, an equally big fall head. And the reason why they connected was he was a big fall head. Maybe they met at a show, maybe, and Mark basically called him a genius, artistic genius, which coming from Mark, pretty high praise. What do we got on this front cover from Pascal de Grasse?
Almost like a patchwork quilt sort of deal.
Mm,
You
it's our
got a
first experience
four,
with the stars.
yeah, 4x4 square, some big black stars, kind of obscuring things. I think I'd almost appreciate maybe just the one in the middle with the fall on it, but
Overall, how do you feel about this colorful artwork?
um, it's got some. I don't know. It definitely has got a patchwork quilt feel to me. A little bit of maybe some comic book sort of. At least the one in the middle, a little mouth, a little like superhero sort of guy. But then most, yeah, it's hard to place.
I was aware of these album covers even more so than the albums before getting into the albums because they just have that signature feel of the same artist because of that star design. And this one, it's grown on me so much since listening to the album multiple times that it has such a warm feel to it that I didn't at first really associate with the fall at all. Their sound, nothing about the fall really to me gives me the feeling of warmth. And this cover is very warm, glow orange hues, yellow hues. But this thing has grown on me. Just starting with the star logo, I never understood why I mean, that's part of his aesthetic, but I never understood why that could be connected to the fall. And I still don't, but I appreciate this cover more and more the more and more I experience it because I almost picture this as the ceiling of a place. This
Okay,
is like
yeah.
the ceiling of a place, and those are the lights, even though they look like sparklers that are sticking out of a painting. But I like to picture like looking up where it's not like a direct in front of you, behind you, on the floor, but it's on the ceiling of a place. And it makes this album cover really connect for me with the music. Like I was always looking for that connection and to get that kind of perspective change, it made me really appreciate this album art even more, where it's kind of looking down on you. You're looking up and listening to this music, and it's more and more fitting the more and more I look at it.
Yeah, I think the color scheme is great. Yeah, I mean it's definitely you go through each square and you're kind of like, what's that? What's that? What's that? Where are we at?
Yeah, I see a lot of
Um,
hands, fingers. Um, yeah, it's almost has a very like uh, like a like a distorted drug kind of look.
yeah, I mean
Psychedelic.
because it's not linear, I guess. So like there's no straight lines,
Yeah.
which kind of gives me that like I said, the patchwork quilt where like and I mean I don't know, you
Yes.
look at the
Yeah.
one right bottom left of the fall, there seems like there's actually a patchwork quilt that
Right.
is in the picture. But yeah, no, I could see where you're going with like the tin roof sort of mosaic squares, right? And I feel like we've been in a couple bars that have had some like do whatever you want on that tile, that ceiling square. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. And this album cover also I think is more connected musically to the second half, the B side that we're gonna get into, than the A side. So let's just keep that in mind as we move forward because I think there's a melancholy warmth to it, softness to it that is conveyed musically on the B side. And I would also be kind of curious if Pascal Legras got to, I just assume he didn't, but if they got to listen to any of the music when he was making this art or choosing this art work, layout, it's very interesting. I would love to talk to Pascal. But okay, let's flip it over to the back. Steve, on the back, what is this photo? We got shift work on it, but we got the track list. Everything's black on the edges, but we have this photo. And can you describe this photo for our listeners that can't pull it up?
You got a gorgeous alleyway,
Yeah.
and yeah, basically going up to a big br- brick wall, big massive doors,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Couple doors.
narrow alleyway, two buildings on each side. Looks like almost like residential with some doors and windows open on one side. Um,
Residential and somewhat industrial, like it's the back of a
yeah.
restaurant
But then
delivery
my guess
area.
is looking at the bottom
Yes.
that
What are
it
those?
is Pascal's
Yeah.
studio. I
Oh, yeah.
like, maybe the back of his studio or something, because
Mm-hmm.
the bottom on the ground is a bunch of what looks like
His paintings.
paintings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe they were choosing what they wanted. He had some ideas.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
it's I don't, from what I can see, I can't get super close, but
They're de
I don't see any images that are on the front. Um,
Yeah, I know. I was trying to look if they look the same. They do not look the same because there's a lot more white in there unless they, yeah, it doesn't look the same. Um, the front
but yeah,
cover looks like the sparklers they put onto the painting. Oh, yeah. I kind of
yeah, I
like the
don't,
back. I like the back. I like the back.
yeah, I like the back. I mean, it's a totally different than the front, which gets your eyes. A big shift work across the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would love to get a little closer and see what those paintings look like.
Head into side B. In the side B, side A was, as we said, called Earth's Impossible Day. Side B is a lyric that we also know from side A, which is Notebooks Out Plagiarists. And we're jumping right into the title track, Shift Work.
She's 10 to 5, but I'm shift work and my woman alive. Shift work.
So you ready to end your relationship because of that work schedule?
I'm ready to work the 10 to 5. Is that an option in the US?
I know when he says 10 to 5, I'm like, damn, what the fuck?
I'm in.
What with a lunch break? Man, shit. 10 to 5 and sleep in. This song is so sad, but musically it's so cool. This is the one where I'm just like really into Steve Hanley and Craig Scanlon playing along with the machines and also and Simon playing this drum beat. That's not your straightforward drum beat. It's cool. It's not too much, it's not too little. Little builds, slight builds. Mark
Yeah,
said that it's a bit too personal of a song actually. The title track's about a bloke who's on shift work and he splits up with his wife. But it's not about me. There's other songs on the LP that are about me and the wife. How you feel? How you feeling about Mark's letting you in a little bit?
I've never once believed a single thing Mark said in an interview.
I gotta think we gotta thank the annotated fall for pulling that quote because that's a really good quote. And yeah, as usual, he says it's personal, but then he says it's about a bloke. It's like in the same sentence, he really just contradicts himself where, you know, obviously Bricks is not working shift work, but it's so on the nose of about an experience like that. If it's not Mark, it's definitely a person that Mark directly observed working a different schedule and not it's not being working and working out at all.
Yeah, any of the maybe our friend old Steve Family with his his kids at home.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but Mark only dated members of his band, so he doesn't know what this is about.
no. But musically,
Musically on point. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
they're all in sync on this, and
I like that the machine music is not, it's more of a drone, and the drone is perfect. It's like slowly flourishing, and then it's flourishing just like the way that a great musician like Funky Sai would slowly bloom those drums open and then close them back down. It's everything is working together. Everything is working musically together. Human and Dave's
I mean, it
synths. It's fucking good.
it's a great experiment to see if the machine synth can replace the keyboard synth. I
I mean,
mean,
it fills up so much space.
ultimately, I feel like what this album is, and like they never. I feel like Marsha got a little bit more liberties with it, but like they never used the keyboard in ways that like made or break the song, right? Like it was
Yeah.
there and it was a present piece and it was important, but like it was I wouldn't say an afterthought. I feel it, but like this, I feel like this is kind of like I'm sure it's not the base of the song, but it was it's more of a cohesive thing.
And it goes back to a couple of things we talked about at the top, which was the human synth. You can do that live. You can recreate that. This one where you have like a technician like Dave Bush working these machines and making the sound, it's not easy to make this a live thing, which might be a great instance where the fall actually fell into a perfect dynamic for a studio album. Maybe not perfect, but they fell into a perfect situation for making a studio album where they did not perform it live before they recorded it, because this song would have been, I'm guessing, a lot quicker up tempo, right? Even if they had the sequencer, they're ratcheting up the tempo live. They're like, let's get this going. And so by the time they get in the studio, they've like locked in this certain cadence to it, which is not this cadence that we hear on this track.
You know, this would have been a 2 minute burner for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And maybe more aggressive, maybe even Mark delivering the words with more emphasis instead of a melancholiness that we keep coming back to, which I definitely hear in his voice, which is he says it's a personal song, and then he says it's not a personal song. And it's, for me, it sounds like a personal song. And for me, when I interact with it as a listener, it's personal feel. I'm feeling a personal dynamic between the singer and what they're singing about their relationship, which is all I need.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
title track.
even if it was like his parents, his dad's working nights, his mom's working during the day.
Hmm.
How do you feel this relates to the most recent OC's album and John Dwyer going all replicators
Oh
and
yeah.
synth noise? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So
kind
for
of
our listeners that haven't listened to new OC's album, the new OC's album is guitarless. It has a bass guitar, so similar to this album.
Sorcs 80, SORCS 80.
and that is an album that has no guitar, so it's like the OC is going into kind of a adjacent territory where they are going machine music. And um we listened to Steve, you and I have both listened to that album a couple times now.
I
And
watched them. I think we both watched them play it live as well. I mean,
yes, you should. And we suggest if you're into OCs and you probably a fall head either way, you're going to be going on YouTube and watching the live performance on the
they
top of a building in
they
Los Angeles.
they just released the live album as well. If you
Mm,
want to hear it live.
yeah. And it's a interesting change of pace for the OCs, like because they are such a guitar driven band, even though they have the double drummers, like the early onset of the fall, they have the double drummers still, and they have now John Dwyer playing synth pads, the synth player playing synth pads, and it's
And then
it's
what
different.
yeah, it's different. It's not bad. It's just
No,
different.
it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Musically, it's really intriguing, and I've listened. I'm going to continue to listen to it. Lyrically, it's interesting, the live version, because I don't know. It seems like they put it out so fast, like where John Dwyer didn't even have a chance to, like, he put down the vocals on the recorded tracks, and then it doesn't seem like he I think that was the whole point of it, which is he wanted to do like a little breather album that was totally different, which a lot of musicians do, and I appreciate. But he put it out. Like that's the difference between the OCs and every other band, where you would do a little side project and like be like, I'm gonna go in my studio every day this month and just do no guitar, and I'm going to do all these tracks. The thing is with the OCs is he does it and makes all those tracks with himself and the band, and then he just puts it out so you get to hear it, which is great. And I'm just like the lyrics are just like, they're not anything to be diving into deeply, but musically it's totally a different soundscape, which is worth your full time.
Yeah, which is I feel like where he was at. If one focus, right? Like couldn't
Sound.
necessarily be pulled in both directions.
Yeah. I mean, the man is a one man machine himself. So it's just a cool thing. It's a cool artifact that I suggest you listen to. It's actually it would be a good double feature, a nice fall double feature, a popcorn double feature, which would be to listen to Shift Work and the OC's album. I suggest put what would you say? Put the Shift Work at the backside, I'd say. Just rip through the OC's new one and then put the shift work on. So you got um something else to dig your teeth into a little bit
Yeah, if you
even
want to,
further.
yeah, if you want to focus a little bit more, yeah, I think shift work on the backside,
It's a
and then
good
you got to
cool down
cool down, settle in,
after the machine burning that lubricant right off the gears.
and
Yeah.
then find another fall album, or find another OC's album to let them shred your drums and let them bleed.
Yeah, if you got some energy left, put on another OC's album, a recent one, and get
Yeah,
into one of
I
those.
was gonna say the next two after that one are
It's good. It's good. And so let's do some more cool down though. Speaking of cool down, let's get a let's stay in this kind of subtle down tempo feel and emotional state, and ask yourself the question that can't be answered, which is you haven't found it yet.
Where are you going? This work has not yet reached cessation.
You haven't found it yet. Haven't found it yet. You just haven't found it yet. Found it yet. Found it yet.
thanks to the annotated fall, this is probably one of my most favorite Mark quotes from an interview is from Q
Oh,
Magazine.
what is it?
It's about driving around London, but I have to admit, the last few gigs we did before Christmas, I got the record out to check the lyrics, and I couldn't fucking work them out. Mental sawdown of your head? I don't know. It looked good in me notes. I must have been thinking of one of those diagrams of a skull sawn in half. Yeah, what's that? The third verse, it's dark, but your legs are dead. Your pen is entombed in mattresses. About how you've been lying in bed and your brain's going about 20 to the dozen, but your body just wants to lie there. Lyrics don't have to be dead easy, you know. I'm aiming to stimulate people.
So what do you think?
I think it's the same thing we think every single time. I think Mark is just out there to fuck with us all in our own little put those little earworms and little things in your head and ultimately let you decide what the hell's going on. Because I don't even know if he knows, but he doesn't. And silver tongue that can lay down some words that don't always mean anything, but they mean something, and it's really up to the beholder of what where it's going.
Yeah, I think about this one as like very straightforward as what it seems like it is, which is just like a searching song. Like it just seems so straightforward, but almost when he's lying in his bed, you know, it seems so clear in your bed. It's dark, but your legs, they are dead. Your pen isn't combed in your mattress. You still haven't found it yet. Like this is all like almost like a speed addled songwriter looking for that next line. And it's just, even though I always interpret it as like searching for a person, it's also very much him as an artist searching for that next line that gets him off. And when he's in a state that might be like on the brink of just pure exhaustion, passing out from a long day of doing the things that he likes to do that are putting his body physically into a state of almost a comatose state, his brain is still looking for that next line to come out that is just going to stimulate him awake. And I think he even says like I'm just trying to stimulate people. I think that just goes back to himself where he's just trying to stimulate himself in the search of another artistic endeavor that gives him that feedback, that makes him the engines turn and makes that thing propel forward into the next uh page of his notebook. Like it's just, it seems so straightforward, but the feeling of it, the vibe of it, of being so down tempo, it gives it that sheen of like almost like a dream-like state. Like you have that optimistic state of it is in almost at my fingertips. His pen is
And
encombed
combed
in
and
the
yeah,
mattress is so beautiful
yeah.
where he's fallen asleep like on his pen, the pen next to him. It's like he's rolling over onto it, but it's almost like
He's
a part of his body, like it's
he
almost
almost
like
he wants to
crafted.
find it to pull it up, but yet he
Uh-huh.
doesn't have anything to write. But
Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not even like a dream state, but almost like a fever dream state or
Yeah.
a drug-induced dream. Or yeah, like you said, yeah. I mean, what does he say here? You're dying, but still warm. Like y-
Yeah, and then the next line
you're
isn't it like put your writing put this writing on your tomb.
mhm.
Spill out your dying breath.
Yeah, spit out your dying breath. Yeah,
Like
it's
it's what he's
just
living for and dying for, which makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's exactly. I mean, although how many artists put themselves into not necessarily healthy living conditions to, at least in their mind, benefit their art and
Right.
like to stimulate the creativity that needs to be there day in and day out, sort of feeling.
Mm-hmm. and not to pull another sister track move, but this is almost a sister track to the War Against Intelligence, which is showing the amount of physical strain he believes you kind of have to put yourself through, which is exactly what you're saying, to achieve the level of interest and intelligence and intellectual art that you're capable of. It's not easy. You know, you have to be always willing to go for it, even when you're, got a couple breaths left in your day. You're still gonna keep that door cracked open a little bit to grab that last little tidbit to pull in, see, because you never know. That could be the one line phrase that spawns off another song, another album, another sound, another uh environment that you can put yourself in. This one with shift work as a 1-2 punch on the B side, great lead off, right? It's like you could almost flip this album and do it reverse mode and do the B side as the A side and A side as a B side, and it would be an interesting listen and totally different experience.
Yeah, which is kind of where they've been at, is like
Yeah.
they're kind of labeling A and B side as different work, not necessarily a complete picture of, 12 tracks that are the same, but
No, but I do like the labeling of it.
yeah, exactly.
I don't really understand what they're getting at, but I do like that they're going for a more of a concept, which is not
Yeah,
a fall thing.
it's not necessary, but it is helpful, at least to the lover of the music, to say, yeah, yeah, these may work well together, but they are also separate. Like,
And isn't that a pure Mark move where it's like, I'm gonna give you another piece of text or a lyric that makes you think that there could be a connection that you can make for yourself. That's all I'm asking for out of artists is to give you little nuggets to say, if you want to make something for yourself that's a connection to it, it's all yours now. You go with it, you play with it, you massage it, you try to make some sort of logical sense out of it. But at the same time, you just read a quote which says, I don't even know what I was fucking writing about. And he doesn't know what he was writing about. He had to read the lyrics to it sounds like relearn them for maybe live performance. And I don't really care, like as a listener, I don't really care that he doesn't know what was going on. It gets the point across to me. If the song is good, the music is good, and the lyrics fit well enough into a frame that could be referenced by myself as a listener, it's
I was
totally
gonna say,
great.
does he also a kind of a nod to the fans, right? Like he constantly puts the work in and makes it
I'm totally sleeping,
interesting to,
passed out.
and it just like he almost just like puts those nuggets in there. Oh, this is the first side means this, and you're just like, he doesn't have to do any of that, right? Like, you just
Yeah.
pump out albums and go for it, and yet he at least recognizes he does have that fan base behind him that is driving him forward. Those people that are devoted and will pay attention and appreciate what he has,
Yeah.
to offer to him.
Yeah, we obviously love the abstract, but let's get into the next track, which is
The
as straight
mixer.
as straightforward as it comes.
The mixer.
What do you picture going along with this type of musical accompaniment? You got the violin, you got a synthetic drum track Actually, this could be, I mean, this could be funky sci. It just sounds like very compressed, so it's got the synths in there. What kind of like picture do you conjure up in your head when you're listening to the mixer?
I don't know. It almost gives me like the first 45 seconds is just the intro to a Dave Matthews Band song.
Uh,
The violin, the
I
this
forgot that Dave Matthews had that violin guy.
yeah,
Oh man. I kind of also, I don't want to get sued, but I kind of assumed that that was the guy that shit in the tour bus toilet and dumped it in the Chicago River on those people on the architecture tour boat that went under the bridge. I kind of picture that that violin guy was the guy that disobeyed the golden rule of tour buses, which is do not take a number two on the tour bus. Like that's the only rule. Like that's literally like the main rule of being on a tour bus is you don't take a shit in the tour bus. You wait for the stop. And that band in general seemed like they were taking a lot of shits on that tour bus. They did not care, and that driver did not care at all when he dumped that down onto the Chicago River, uh, accidentally onto the tourists on the to the architecture tour. And it was just the anniversary of that. And if any of you fall heads are not aware of that, just look up Dave Matthews Band Chicago tour, but you'll and enjoy yourselves because that is like a very fun thing. And I was just on that bridge a couple months ago, and in pure Chicago humor fashion, someone affixed a anniversary golden plaque onto the bridge, commemorating the event of them doing that. And I guess it's been taken down multiple times, but someone keeps going over there and putting up a new one, which is like the fucking that's the most Chicago thing to do. Like to put put that right on the bridge for everyone passing by. The mixer to me is it makes me think about the fall and the Hacienda club, and it makes me think about the connection between this album and the fall making an album like this, which has so much electronic music. And in this case, it's almost like a dance music electronic track. And it just shows the fall are either ahead of their time or behind their time by a little bit, because I could have just pictured people in the hacienda dancing to a track like this.
Oh yeah.
Like the remix that's like like 20-minute remix of this song nonstop, the same lyrics over and over again. There's a it's like setting I like that it's about a guy working in a bar and his background. It's like it's given me everything I feel, even though this is not my type of music, it's given me everything that I want as far as a kind of just like a weird one-off track from the fall that I'm not expecting. Like I'm just pleasantly surprised by it. There's nothing here that I'm like, this is the music I want to listen to when I'm doing anything. It's just the track that I'm always just like, wow, yeah, they did that. They did that. And I'm proud of them for doing that because it's just a weird thing.
Yeah, it's there, right?
Yeah, it's there. It's the back of the track list. It's there. And it's a great title too. Like if you're not familiar with the song and you see the mixer, I'm putting that song on. No doubt. Okay, let's get into
A lot of wind.
Desperate for entertainment, so I turn the TV on. There's people jumping up and down, then they have the panel on, and they chuck a lot of wind.
Right away, you're just back to the bass.
mm-hmm.
Thank goodness.
And some of my favorite Craig Scanlon. I don't know why this track is only credited to Marky Smith. Some of my favorite Craig Scanlon discordant guitar drone. Ooh, this is what I want to hear from Craig.
Yeah, I really like the pace of this song.
Mm-hmm. That snare and kick drum just rolling along the road.
Yeah, fast enough, but not racing.
Maybe Simon's book, You Can Drum But You Can't Hide, which is a great book. I'm just getting into it, but I read this chapter for this album and it's really good. But I guess this is about a guy that worked at a school that eventually got convicted for sexual harassment, molestation of the pupils at the school, and that was the weatherman. That was one of his gigs, I guess. It just makes me thankful that I went to public schools and not and what sounded like posh, kind of a little bit posh schools. Well, you went to a Catholic school, high school. I mean, did you have a lot of bathing with your teachers? I'm also reading Robin Hitchcock's of the Soft Boys book as well. And he has stories as well about going to a posh boarding school that his parents sent him to. And there's a lot of scenarios where he's going to his teachers, professors' houses, and they're like, oh, hey boys, here we're gonna have lunch and then we're gonna go take a dip in this little pool
No, yeah.
together. There's a lot of
Yeah.
that going on, and I'm like, damn, what the fuck? Like, I missed out on all this. I missed out on all this going to public school. What are
I
all this weird?
I was at a Catholic boys school, so it
Hmm.
was I got no invites to the pool parties.
No, no.
There was a fair bit of corporal punishment that was probably not it's not continued down the path
Yeah,
after I left, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But talking on a lot of wind.
took a lot of wind.
I tried to look up who the Carl Lewis is that he refers to because
It's the American track athlete.
no, but it says he's got a ponytail and he's a vegan.
Yeah, he went vegan.
Car Oh, he did? But he had a
Yeah.
ponytail?
One point
Carl Lewis,
it says at
the gold medalist?
one point he sported a dreadlocks tied into a ponytail.
Oh, so that is the oh man. See, I was just assuming that it was not an I mean, for some reason, I just assumed it was a British Carl Lewis with a ponytail.
It
And
said it says he once had a would-be world record jump invalidated due to what is technically known as wind assistance.
no, he did not. Oh man, he got wind assistance. Oh my God. That wind must have been hard pushing the
Pushing
grown
him hard.
man through the air.
Yep.
Oh man. Those Olympic judges are no holds barred about the rules. Man, I would have given it to him. I would have given it to him. I'm a Carl Lewis fan for the limited amount I know about Carl Lewis. Fast man, gold medalist.
Nine
Yeah.
time.
Talk a lot of wind is a great, especially when he's relating it to a weatherman. Oh man, come on. That's a great connection. That's a great lyrical songwriter connection. He talks a lot of wind.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
play on words is beautiful.
Hmm. So I ring the TV line and I get a lot of wind. They talk a lot of wind. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks a lot of wind. He talks a lot about the wind.
Oh, the
Oh,
boredom in my bones from belching a lot of wind. They talk a lot of wind. Know what I also get the picture of in this is Mark sitting in front of the TV and just watching a lot of TV and just like talking shit back to the TV about like you fucking, you know, C words. You guys are just on here just spewing out anything just to fill the airwaves. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was wondering when the Weather Channel came around. I don't know when that first debuted in the UK, but I imagine Mark could have gotten into that.
Yeah, do you think Mark, I mean, Mark obviously was a news junkie and would be a news junkie, He read the newspaper all the time and all the periodicals, but like, do you think he was a weather guy? I feel like for Mark, he's not gonna be the guy that's like, I feel like if you were in the pub and you started being like, we're getting a lot of rain, lately, like, let's picture him in Edinburgh and being like in his favorite pub, and the guy next to him was like, there's a lot of rain coming this week, this month. And I just picture Mark just turning his back to that person and just walking to the corner. Like, I don't think he has time for
No, I mean, I don't do.
the bullshit.
I don't think you need to pay attention to the weather in the UK because it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much the same, and then it'll change at the same point every day, and
Yeah,
then it'll go back to the same. Yeah,
it's not the same, but it's
yeah,
you
yeah,
be prepared
yeah,
for it to either be the same
yeah.
or pretty similar to the same.
I like that. That's why I like Texas, because it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same dynamic as that. In the opposite, in the opposite sense. But yeah, so talk a lot of wind musically, cool. Let's get into the only track where we get to hear Martin Brahma and Marsha Schofield on the keys, and let's listen to Rose
No, not on the keys, on the flute.
on the flute, but let's try to discern if this is an actual flute. Oh,
No credits to the song, but they're invited.
yeah, pretty bogus. Man, I wonder how the recording process worked. My timeline is all skewed. Did they record this with them and then at some point and then they parted ways? I know our true fall researchers will hopefully know. But it just seems weird that they're on one track. I know Mark didn't want to do Martin's songs, which I would have loved to hear. I would have loved to hear Martin Brahma penned songs with machines and synths, and I have not I've listened to all the B-sides. We've listened to all the B-sides. We're even have a little side bonus episode on Patreon that are the two songs that they recorded that are not on any of the singles and not on any of the basically extended album versions from this era that y'all can get into if you're interested.
When they recorded it, or what?
Yeah, like why is a song with the two members that are not in the band for the whole rest of the album?
I don't know. I mean, for as little as they care about giving credit where credit's due, why did they not just keep them off in general? Like there had to have been something that happened that separate them from the song, right? Like otherwise
Yeah,
you just would have recorded it and been like, ah, yeah, they were maybe they were around, but I can't remember. Is Rose Bricks? I mean, probably.
I mean, he says there's songs about the wife on there. This is the most ballady about, it's the most love song type song, even though he's talking about another man, a younger set, which Bricks actually went to a younger partner, and it just seems like yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. Hmm.
Which again, why then did Martin write it if he wrote it?
I mean, musically,
Musically, you think he
I could
wrote it?
hear it. Yeah, musically. And like even Marsha getting that flute little solo, like,
Yeah, I don't know. It did not sound necessarily like an actual flute. I don't
no,
know.
I'm pretty,
You think
if
it
I gotta hedge
was
my bets, I'm gonna say that's a keyboard flute. which honestly, which honestly kind of, it gives it, I know some people are like that sounds like a bad uh it's almost like a too clean sounding flute, and I'm with you, it does sound like that, but for what the song is, for like a love song that is kind of saying, yeah, I see you with that other guy. It's kind of cool to have a not actual flute as kind of like a cutting type of way of saying like this is not an actual love song. You know, it's like kind of a backhanded, this is not an actual what you think it is, even
Yeah.
though the delivery is very good too by Mark. Like his vocals, he's barely saying the words, he's barely like enunciating what he's going for. And he's so morose. It's so fitting. That's Rose.
Rose, Rose. I hope you can get married, Rose.
Yeah, I know. That's a great line. That's a great line. Um, it leads you in, it takes you out. Let's wrap it up, and let's wrap it up in a very fitting way with a very machine-oriented Dave Bush forward song with Mark, giving us some lines that I'm always intrigued by. Let's listen to Sinister Waltz.
He must go down, he must go down, he must come down, he must go down, he must go down, he must go down, was fraternizing with
How do you like that as an outro to shift work?
Yeah, I mean, super fitting. I don't know. It's creepy little waltz at the end of this whole thing. I mean, I don't
It's
know. Great in the simplicity, the oddness, the creepiness.
I gotta say, it's one of my favorite outro final tracks to a fall album.
Yeah, I mean, fitting end, right? Like, which is not always the
Yeah,
case.
it's a, it's rarely the case. It's
No,
rarely the
yeah.
case. As far as we're concerned, this, I don't know what happened with the sequencing of this album, with what happened before, during, and to the point when it was released, but something happened where it was perfectly aligned to what I, as a listener, want to experience as a full album experience. Song wise, it's not one of their most highest, artistically achieving albums, but it's so great as an album. He must go down, he must come down. Tell me what you think about this. I get this feeling about this one that it's some sort of religious, I don't want to say spiritual, but it's like a religious type of song because it's almost like a mantra. I'm picturing almost someone hoping that an entity will unveil themselves, come down. They were up there fraternizing with a chimp or whatever the words are. Like it's so like no one knows what these words are, which is even better, that someone will show themselves after the floods. Maybe there's a line about floods, after the floods, and unveil themselves and take reign over the land. It's a great way to end it. It's so fun because it's so obtuse. There's a line about an ironing board or something that's
Yeah.
even better. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. I don't even know what that is. That's so good. Oh man. Even with the electronic background, which I like that sound. I like the sound of this synthesized drone in the back. Man, they could have done with another one of these. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to hear this experiment replicated again and see where see where they could take it. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it's just kind of creepy. Yeah, the mantra is good. Must go
Yeah.
down.
And even
Yeah,
thinking about the title, it's a sinister waltz. So maybe it's not even like an entity that's heavenly, but maybe he must come down almost like
he
an,
must
a
go. It's not even
devil.
come. Yeah, I mean, it is come down. He must go down. He must come down. Yeah,
He must go down, like, yeah, go down to hell. Like it could have you, like, I can see it that way too, where it's like going down to a hellscape. Something
right.
about it gives me a little bit of a vibe, a little bit of a tingle on my skin where I'm like, man, this is something like that could be played in a church for any number of reasons that might be negative connotated reasons in a closed church that's abandoned, and it's gonna just be perfect, fitting, echoing.
Yeah, it could even be like a drug induced psychosis. Like, like he
Ooh,
must go down, he
yeah.
must come down. Like eventually he's
Eventually, yeah.
eventually he's gonna come down. He's gonna fall, he's gonna come down off of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll wear off, don't
Mm-hmm.
worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or he's in a point where you're like, oh God, do we gotta take him to call the ambulance? Like, no, he must go
Yeah.
down. He's gonna go
Yep.
down soon. He's gotta come down soon. He can't last like this long.
Yeah, there's obviously that dark side to it too. Like it's almost like a perfect balance, which this whole album is. It's a very balanced album where it could be very much like he must go down eventually, like almost in a way of like a death, right? He
Yeah.
must go down. He must succumb to this pressure that we're putting on him or that's being placed on him, where he's going to be eventually in a pure state again, right? Where it's the
Or
no lifeless.
even
uh
like a bipolar, like a manic, he's in his manic phase. He's gotta come
oh
down.
yeah.
Like he's gotta
Hmm.
he's gotta come down. He's gotta come back to reality. He's running wild right now.
That's the reason for the ironing board. He's just like manically ironing clothes, just fucking getting those clothes out, just that fucking like fucking pressing them so hard they're becoming into a fucking straight plaster. Yeah, that is good. Ooh, I love everything about it. And we're done.
Done.
And we're done. And let's pop that tab, Mark. Okay, pop that tab open. Steve, what are you feeling about the shift work we just put ourselves through? That was a good workout. I love that. Man, I thought the 90s was gonna be kind of like I'm speaking too soon. I'm probably gonna jinx us, but I thought the 90s was gonna be some sort of like obstacle course, but I gotta say I've been enjoying myself so far. What are you feeling about the shift work 1991 from the fall LP?
Oh boy. We're going 8 pints. It's
Whoa, dang.
I'm going hot.
Oh,
I'm going hot and heavy. I mean,
yeah, it's fresh in your
most
brain. Ooh, I
fresh in
like
my
that.
brain, and I
Hmm.
just think
You got to come
the
down sometime, so that's good.
they must come down. Yeah, I think it is a super original, creative piece for them. Is it their best album? Is it what you expect? Absolutely not. But like for the
Yeah.
transition that they just made, they dropped two members of the band. They want to put something out. I I
Hmm.
I think for the band, it is a quality album that I don't know. When you look at the whole catalog, I don't know. Does it fit perfectly? Absolutely not. But like as a single entity,
Hmm.
it is a good album.
There's something about this. Obviously, we would like the lineup that we were expecting on this album throughout the whole album, and we didn't get it. So we get what we get. We don't throw a fit, and this is, I use the word balance a lot, and it's such a balanced album It's not pushing your buttons. It's not going, it's not forcing you into a realm where you're going to get more out of it. But every time I listen to it, I'm totally intrigued. I'm totally liking what I'm hearing. The flow of it is is perfecto. And I don't remember what I gave Extricate, and it doesn't really matter. I think most people fucking skip through us giving point ratings, which I like good on you too, because it's meaningless. Like give it a point rating every time you listen to it, and it'll be different. But I gotta give this one more than Extricate. So I'm gonna say 7. I don't remember what I gave Extricate. I'm gonna give this 7 pints at the current moment. Tomorrow it'll be different, but this is a good experience. I like where they're going. I hope to get more of it. There's such a good dynamic on this album that I don't think the fall really achieved in the late 80s up until this point to the extent that they do here. And yeah,
I mean,
solid 7.
and as much as we shit on and Mark shits on commercialized music, I mean, this is an album you can play for just about anybody and have them enjoy themselves in some way, right? Like they're not gonna
Yeah.
they're not gonna want it to be turned off.
Isn't it crazy though too? But it's also like so fitting that they were going for those pop achievements in some of the albums we just covered, full length, and they were trying to go for it so hard, and it didn't fall flat, but it didn't have the pure personal edge of something like this, as far as I'm concerned. And it just shows that if you're going too hard, it's likely that you're not going to achieve what you're going for. It almost has to be a natural state. And I almost hope that we experience something like this moving forward, where the fall is not overthinking it and doing road tested songs so much that they become embedded into their genetic code and kind of going for more of a rough vibe, go into the studio, have a little bit more freedom, have a little bit more dynamics available to them, and they will get something that is completely re-listenable, obviously, but also that unveils itself as not hyper polished, where you know exactly where all the notes are and all
Yeah,
the textures are.
I do think it benefited them to put it down on tape first, and then they can transform it any way they want when
Hmm.
if they're going to perform it live versus iron it out live and then not really be able to manipulate it into the studio to sound the way it needs to in the studio. Because I mean they're just different sounds, right? You can't transfer one to the other all the time. And I think creating a song for the studio and for the album versus the other way around, it definitely benefited them here.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely. Yeah, that's what they need. That's what they need. It's like a creative canvas that is unpainted. And a lot of the times they go into the studio with the canvas fully painted and then trying to recreate that, which does it's just so hard, It's almost like trying to make a demo, recreate a demo, which is almost impossible to get that vibe. And a lot of these songs sound like demos, which is exactly what I want to hear from the fall. I want to hear only fall demos because it really just gets to the heart of the matter. Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed this journey into 1991, and we got a lot more going in the 1990s, so we hope you join us. But until next time, we are the fall.
We are the best.